Welcome back to Bowling Over 50. I'm Alan Berger. This channel was originally designed for bowlers that are over 50 years old, but I've noticed that we have a ton of beginning bowlers just coming into bowling and they're trying to find tips and tricks, things that will help them, and they're finding it here on this channel as well. Some intermediate bowlers who are looking to find few little nuggets to help them improve. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I get tons of questions about. It's about the different kinds of balls, and we're going to start today with symmetrical balls versus asymmetrical balls. Okay, so in talking about asymmetrical balls and symmetrical balls, I could get a lot into some geek speak and why the bowling ball reacts the way it does. I'm going to try to eliminate as much of that as possible, but you do need to know a few things. Let's start with an asymmetrical ball. An asymmetrical ball has a different balance top to bottom and left and right. So the balance of that ball is not in the center of the ball. It's to the outside of the ball, and it's to the outside of the ball in two different locations. So there's a thing in physics called getting things balanced and being in chaos. So when an asymmetrical ball is rolled down the lane, it's in chaos. The two balance points on that ball are in competition with each other, and it's spinning in the oil. When it finally sees friction, that ball wants to balance itself in two different directions. So once it finds friction, that ball is seeking to get balanced and basically that's what's helping it hook down the lane. An asymmetrical ball does that faster because it's so out of balance, top and bottom and left and right. So because it's so out of balance, it gets from chaos to balanced faster, which gives you a bigger hook. It also makes the ball flare. So what flaring on a ball does is finds a new fresh spot on the cover for the ball to travel over. If the ball only traveled in one area on the bowling ball, it would be in its own oil and it would just sit there and spin. When the ball flares, meaning it tracks over a different part of the bowling ball, it's leaving a fresh spot of cover for that ball to track on. So as it's doing that, it's not staying in its own oil, it's staying on the ball surface. An asymmetrical ball does that more than a symmetrical ball. So a symmetrical ball is balanced for the most part, top and bottom and left and right. So it's only got one area of chaos that it's in instead of two like an asymmetrical ball. So as you roll it down the lane, it is not balanced. It's still, because you're spinning the ball, it's out of balance and it wants to balance itself. So once it balances itself, when it finds friction, it becomes in chaos and then finds itself in a balanced position to roll through the pins. In one of my videos, I talked about skid, hook, and roll. It's one of my more popular videos. The skid part is when you're in the oil and the ball is, it's not really hydroplaning because it's not on water, but it's got oil underneath it, keeps it from actually hooking. After it exits the end of the pattern where there's no oil, it finds friction. Once it finds friction, it goes through the hook phase. And that ball is basically what we were talking about. It was out of balance, in chaos, and it wants to right itself and become balanced, and it does that only when it hits friction. So then it hooks. And then it rolls. The rolling position is when it is balanced and that ball begins to roll towards the pins. Asymmetrical balls do that faster because they have two out of balance points. A symmetrical ball has one out of balance point, and so it does it a little slower. So here's what you get. An asymmetrical ball hooks faster and rolls faster. Symmetrical ball hooks less or smoother, not really less, but smoother, and takes longer for it to get into the roll position. So that's the kind of the nuts and bolts of what asymmetrical and symmetrical balls do. That's the geek part. Now let's talk about what it does on the lane. So I don't have a ton of rev rate. We discuss that all the time on this video. So it's a little harder for me to show you the change of direction versus somebody like a two-hander who can put a ton of revs on the ball where you can drastically see the change of direction. But we're going to attempt to do that today. We're going to throw a few shots with a symmetrical ball and an asymmetrical ball that are drilled very, very similarly. And then we're going to try to overlay them as best I can. So we're going to throw a lot of shots here, and then I'm going to try to overlay them so you can see, hopefully, a difference in the angle at which that ball actually hooks. We're going to throw them in basically the same spot. I have found a spot on the lane that will cause both of these balls to strike, but I think you're going to see they do it much differently. So we're going to start with an asymmetrical ball. Most bowlers over 50, when they just get into their 50s and they realize they don't have a ton of rev rate, but they still have some decent ball speed, a lot of them buy asymmetrical balls because they look like they're fun. They hook, and people can see the hook, and that's why we buy them, because all the kids are throwing these big hooks, and the asymmetrical ball is the closest thing we have to that. So I have a ton of asymmetrical balls because I like throwing them, because I like to see the big hook. I'm going to stand on 26. So if you've watched any of my videos, you understand that when I stand on 26, the right side of my left shoe is on 26. I can see the 25 board or the dot just to the right of my shoe. And I am going to be looking at 10.5 this morning. I think that was where we struck. So let's see. That was a little in, that was more like 11. So that was about 11. That wasn't the greatest shot. I've been sitting there talking for a little while. So we're going to throw that one more time, try to hit 10.5. Again, this is a asymmetrical ball. And I want you to see the drilling layout on it. I hope you can see that. This one's pin up. Kind of a neutral position where my thumb is from the mass bias. I hope you can see that. It is a Tour V1 from Hammer. So this ball is drilled very similarly to the one we're going to throw in a minute, which is symmetrical. It's also pin up. There is no mass bias because it's symmetrical. It doesn't have a mass bias. It only has one place on the ball here where the center of gravity is. So, but this thumb would have been very, very close to where we are with that Tour V1. Let's throw that Tour V1 again. Again, standing on 26, looking at 10.5. Let's see if I can throw a better shot. Still 11. Flat 10. So we're in a practice session, and as I tell you guys all the time, when you're in the bowler center practicing, don't reset your pins. Always shoot at your spares. And the 10 pin has not been my friend as of late. So I have made a few adjustments into the way I do things. So hopefully this will get it. I haven't thrown a spare shot yet. There we go. Nearly perfect. Really what I've done, and we've had some opportunity on the channel where I've talked about spare shooting. I've been missing my 10 pins to the left. So I think it's because I'm walking a half a board left or half a board right. So I just moved my feet one board left, and it seems to be working pretty good. All right, so that was the asymmetrical ball. We're going to throw this one in the same spot, hopefully the same way, and then overlay them. That was 10.5. Now hopefully you can see that. The asymmetrical ball went a little further down the lane. When it hit the friction, it made not quite a check mark, but it was more dramatic down lane. Where this symmetrical ball hooked in the exact same spot, but it was much, much smoother. Hopefully you'll be able to see that with the overlay. Oh, I thought I had a split up there. Going to throw at my spare here, little 4.7. Throwing that way across my body right now. I haven't done yet, so let's see. Oh, perfect. Wow. All right, we're going to do it again. We're going to move a board to the left with both of these balls. Trying to get them to strike, actually. And we're going to look at 11 now, since that's where I seem to want to throw this ball. Well, now we go to 12. You know, been throwing the ball great. I get into these videos, and all of a sudden I don't know what I'm doing anymore. That was absolutely awful. Okay, how I picked this up is I don't have a back pin, so luckily I can pretty much throw anything at this. If I go straight at it like I do a normal 2-pin, the 4-pin could go in the channel and not get the 7, but we're going to try it. Ooh. Just like I said. 4-pin went into the channel and never got the 7. That means I threw it too good. All right, let's try that again. Asymmetrical. From a board left, let's see if we can't throw it better. Throw it better. Oh, that's better. Much better. So, if you saw that ball, hopefully you can see it. It goes down the lane. When it finally gets to the dry, it makes a very violent motion left and then rolls out much earlier. This ball will be a lot smoother and will not roll as early. Same spot. 26, 27. I can see 26 to the right of my shoe. Looking at 11. And I kind of hit up on that one a little bit. Oh. Okay, Alan, your shot making today is not great, but this is not the Greek church. I was kind of hoping for that to stay up. We're gonna see what we can do about picking this thing up. That's got a chance. Had a chance. Had a chance. All right, let's see if we can throw this symmetrical ball a little bit better. Don't hit up on it, Alan. Get it on the lane. There we go. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Both of these balls are hooking about the same amount of distance. It's just, it looks different. Why does that matter? Why does it matter what the ball looks like as it's going down the lane? Here's what I'll tell you. An asymmetrical ball is smoother and rolls out later. So if you are having trouble with the 10-pin being lazy and flat, you could try a symmetrical ball because it actually gets into a roll later that might come into the pocket at the right angle. An asymmetrical ball may be too angular. It's going too far down the lane and then snapping behind the head pin, and you're leaving 7-10 splits, you're leaving wrap 10s, things of that nature. You might want to ball to a different ball that's symmetrical that might roll out a little earlier, roll out a little later, and be a little smoother. Well, what if that ball is rolling too early when you're using a symmetrical ball? Well, that's when you can go to an asymmetrical ball that will go down the lane a little bit longer and be a little bit more dramatic at the back and maybe get a better angle. So it's all about entry angle into the pocket. You want to be on that 6-degree angle. We got a 10 pin up here. You want to be on that 6-degree angle, and sometimes you have to change balls to find the right ball that's going to get on that angle. Here I am talking about while I'm throwing a spare shot, but I think I'm dialed in with my 10 pins. All right, going to go back to the ASIM again. We're going to move again to the left. So another board. We're at 27 now, 28 now. I can see the 27 board to the right of my shoe. Looking at 11.5. That's a 1.5 move. 1 with my feet and a half with my eyes. There was that 710 I was telling you about just a minute ago. It was almost up there for a second. That ball went too far down the lane and was too violent at the back and came in behind the head pin and almost left the 710 split. All right, so we just threw the asymmetrical ball. Now we're going to throw a symmetrical ball from 28. I can see the 27 board to the right of my foot. We're going to be looking at 11.5, I guess is what we were still looking at. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Nearly the same leave. So again, a symmetrical ball doesn't necessarily hook less than an asymmetrical ball. It's just a different kind of hook. Symmetrical balls are smooth. Asymmetrical balls are more violent on the backside. And the longer your ball goes down the lane without hooking, the longer it skids, the more violent that ball will be at the back. I missed this a minute ago. Let's try it again. Throw it in the same place, but let's put a little rotation on it. Nope, too much. Crap. All right, one more time. We got to get some shots in. I'll just keep talking through them. We're going to move again. We're going to go to 29. I can see the 28 board to the right of my foot. We're going to look at 11.5 now. Probably should still look at 11. Let's look at 11.5 though. There we go. Bam. That looked really good. Now, if we can do that with this ball, that would be great. Now we'll go to the symmetrical ball, throwing in the same spot. Standing on 29, I can see 28 to the right of my shoe. Looking at 11.5. I don't know if that's going to do it. Went to the max of that ball. So that's your difference in symmetrical and asymmetrical, where you use them. If you're leaving flat 10s with a symmetrical ball, try an ASIM in that same spot. That'll give it a little bit more angle, and hopefully you get that 10 out. If you're throwing an asymmetrical ball and you're too many wrap 10s, try a similar symmetrical ball in the same spot, and with that smoother motion, you might get rid of those wrap 10s. So that's bowling over 50. Talking about symmetrical and asymmetrical balls. This is the second time we've done this kind of video. I hope you like what we're doing, and if you do, please like and subscribe to our channel. That really helps us with the arithmetic, the algorithms that YouTube uses to help people find us. Subscribing costs you nothing, and it really helps us out. So if you like what we're doing, please subscribe. So this is Bowling Over 50. Hope you had a good time. I want you guys to have fun on the lanes and good bowling. And because when it gets balanced faster, it gives you more instant hook when it finds friction. That's an asymmetrical ball. Let's try that again. That was so good up until that part. Now that's 15. Okay then. All that power.